What an exciting 2018 it's been. We started the series at Wakefield Park and we're straight back here for round 5 of the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars. The pits are alive with colour as all your familiar faces and names duke it out for the final chance to secure some championship points and a big old trophy at the end of the series. Joining me on the mic is head judge Dan Mackey, and man, what a season it's been.
Absolutely, Dave. It's been one of those seasons that you get so much growth out of the series. It's really starting to step up. The levels are absolutely fantastic. We're seeing guys in the Pro-Am classes. You can see Ross Quigley's car roll through there now, really lifting the level up. So, it's bigger and better and we're going forward. Awesome to see.
There have been tight battles and upsets the whole way through, and the championship ladder reflects that. Rob Arbolino, who's not at this final round, unfortunately, came in at 5th position with Aaron Jouard just ahead of him. Man, has he had such a great season. In 3rd place, Brad Toohey, nipping on the heels of what is sure to be the main event at this round, Michael Prosenik versus Beau Yates.
Yeah, things are going well. I mean, obviously it's tight at the top of the championship this weekend. I think I'm only a handful of points clear of my nearest rival, which is Michael Prosenik. I was fortunate enough to have some laps with him this morning, and that car's got some speed. So those dual engines are pretty strong, and the car's definitely fast out there. And it's such a tight battle at the top. I mean, I've been talking to a lot of guys up now in pit lane this weekend, and just a rivalry now between Pros and I at the top of the Hi-Tec series. I mean, it's what we need as well. Like, obviously, when you're being pushed, it makes you drive harder and faster. So, look, I've really enjoyed the rivalry from Pros this year, and just looking forward to the battles. And obviously, it's just going to be another. We're just going to have to push hard again this weekend.
Hopefully we get to make it up to the top 4 together. We had a couple of deep-beats last time we hit the first round, which has been unfortunate, but for the last 10 years, me and him have been going neck and neck. So it ain't, there's no stop. So hopefully we put on a decent show, and there's a few other boys here that might make it a bit hard for us. So boys are working hard on the car. It runs perfect as always. Dual performance engines. Couple practice runs this morning's feeling good. So we're ready to go.
Now, it's not just the Pro Show. We are developing a lot of talent in the Famous Insurance Pro-Am series. Same thing, we've seen incredibly tight battles and a lot of drivers stepping it up. Right out in front, Daniel Mesmer has been blessed throughout this series, having some great drives, but also some fantastic luck throughout the battles. Isaac Gett has been Mr. Consistent, driving so well and hot on the heels of Daniel Mesmer. So again, we're going to see some interesting battles right up the top. But Ross Quigley, Matthew Grice, Flash Smith, Matt Walters, everyone's been turning it on this year, and they're just so stoked to have made it to the final round.
I was feeling confident into the qualifying, but just in that last run when I ran in the pro qualifying, my diff had an issue, so we'll see how we go. It's spinning 1 sometimes, so that might be the undoing, but with the strong lead, hopefully I can hold on to it.
Yeah, well, feeling really confident. I mean, EBS tuning always keeps the car on song. He put a new clutch in it, so I had to bed that in, but now it's running awesome. Grip levels are really good. Jack spinning wheel tyres supply Achilles, and they're awesome, so feeling confident.
Yeah, I'm hoping to win today so I can get the 2nd in the championship, move back up from 3rd where I've been 2nd all year, so it'd be good to end it on a high note and at least take away that 2nd place.
Into pro qualifying now, and this is where a lot of the year has been decided, is in these early stages of qualifying. The results of these drivers does dictate where they end up in the battle tree, with the top place qualifier getting byes and the bottom place qualifier going up against some difficult drivers. Now, Beau Yates, big surprise here, knocked off his usual top perch for 2 rounds in a row, with Aaron Jouard getting the 2nd place qualifier. Man, I'll say it again, he's had a fantastic year and some aggressive drives. But in that top position, Anthony Billick and Dan Mackey, man, he's got to be so stoked about that. What were you guys looking for as judges?
Well, we were looking to see them really throw it early on, and you'll see Anthony throw it hard and against the wall. Plenty of angle as he goes in, push it mid-track through and out to the outer zone, the first outer zone here. Again, he's got to switch back nice and snappy to get that outer clip, which is out just there. Then through the mid-corner here, push it through a little transition zone there that he goes through, out wide to an outer zone that he's passing now, hit the inner clip, and across the line, Anthony Billick just drove the wheels off it today. It was great to see him pick up his first number 1.
Picture perfect and well deserved, so he's up there on the 91.3, but only that tiniest of point gaps between him and Aaron Jouard, and then down to Beau Yates. And as he jumped down, even John Dreyer up from Victoria Now, one who is conspicuously not on the qualifying results is Brad Toohey, who unfortunately has had to withdraw due to a mechanical issue.
Yeah, look, to be honest, yeah, of course it's frustrating. It's just a bit of an issue that's sort of come and gone all year. Look, we just couldn't fix it in the end. We tried absolutely everything, but no excuses. Like some people have said, oh, because of the bad luck I've had, that's cost me the championship this year. I don't see it that way at all. The 2 rounds that cost me were mistakes all on my own. So, you know, it's a massive congratulations to Beau, Pros and Duar. They're like worthy contenders and definitely deserve to be where they be.
With Toohey unfortunately on the trailer, Anthony Billick gets himself a spot in the top 8 to face off against either a new but very experienced face of Blake Patterson or Angus Kidd, who'll be driving Jono Voudouris' car after also having mechanical issues. John Dreyer up from Victoria, up against Vinny O'Hare. Michael Prosenik against Ross Quigley, up from the Pro-Am Series, along with Daniel Mesmer, who's facing off against Benny Meir, and Isaac Gett, who's facing off against Warwick Hill. We've also got Beau Yates battling Michael Bonney on the other side of the tree, and Aaron Duar versus Mitch Sanders. First cab off the rank, we're going to see Angus Kidd driving a car that he's not too familiar with. First time behind the wheel of Jono Voudouris' R32 Skyline that you may recognise from Gav Edwards in previous series. He's up against Blake Patterson, new face to this series, but a very, very experienced driver and good mate of mine as well. Tipping it in hard there in the chase against Angus Kidd, who we've seen stepping up the speed, but unfortunately there looks like a bit too much speed for the different car and washing wide there on the exit of the first corner on Wakefield's short track. Blake, though, looks right at home, spends a lot of time here on Wakefield's short track, and with that aggressive line there through the back straight, I love that just little flick and reorientate instead of manging or doing a little bit different there. Dan, I know that's something you guys were critically looking for.
Yeah, we were, and as we look at the good ride replay here, you can see that Angus in Jono's car, just not used to it, pushed too hard, threw it too wide. Obviously a massive advantage of Blake, and I've got to say, awesome to see Blake in the series. He's a great driver. I love watching him chase. One of the most aggressive chase drivers in the field.
Wow, big entry there on the chase from Angus, but again, just that unfamiliarity of the car. Had a little bit of a bobble early on, then 2 wheels off. That's a big 0 and a hard one there for Angus, who up until this point has been slaying it the whole way through the 2018 season. But we will see Blake Patterson go through, and I, for one, am interested to see him go up against some of the big names in the series.
Well, he's going to be going up against the number 1 qualifier, I think, next. That's just earned him a spot in against, yeah, it is. It's up against Anthony Billick, so it's going to be awesome to see that battle. They're both driving really well today.
Oh, the big dog Billick, and here is another one of the big dogs. We've got Michael Prosenik now leading Ross Quigley. Now, Ross is sitting in 3rd position in the Famous Insurance Pro-Am Series. He's been given a wild card along with Isaac Gett and Daniel Mesmer to come up here and chase some of our pro drivers while also getting the chance to lead them as well and get the feel of what it's like to be with some higher paced cars and some drivers who they might be able to take some pointers off.
Yeah, these guys are really going to have a go next year in the Pro Series. They're talking about it already, trying to secure some sponsorship to get themselves into the next level. They're the cream of the crop in the Pro-Am, and it's awesome to see them out there having a crack. And I mean, for Ross, you know, he's a Victorian, they're both Victorians, they drive together down in Vic Drift. But, you know, this is an opportunity for him to see how much more speed you get with those big sticky 265s on the rear. And, I mean, look, it's a pretty easy battle as far as we go. As you know, Pros is going to win this. We pretty much knew that from the get-go, but the boys were so amped and so pumped to have a go in the big series and see what it was like.
And you're right, you can see that from Ross Quigley, even in that first of his lead runs, getting G'd up, entering a little bit earlier than we'd seen him do before, and maintaining quite a high road speed there. So hopefully these pointers are going to be all getting lodged in the bank for when he comes up against his Pro-Am battles. But as you called early on, which I'd expect as the head judge, we see Michael Prosenik go through into the top 8. Here's my boy John Dray. Well, 2 of my boys, Vinny O'Hare as well. It's a hard one to work out who to cheer for here, but interesting story for John Dray. Never driven Wakefield before, all the way up from Victoria, which Vinny is as well, but has had the experience of round 1. Both of these cars couldn't get any more different. That big power JZ S15 in the chase, and then the little Dado in front of him running an SR20 that you'd be finding more at home in an S15. So that's one of the things I love about drifting. You know, we see a lot of heart transplants and a lot of interesting car setups, and to see them go head to head, each driver gets to experience their own flair and just show off to the crowd what they're all about.
Absolutely, and you see so often it's not about who has the biggest power. Sure, it helps, But you can see guys with an SR20 keeping up with a guy that's got a 1,000 horsepower 2J, and it's great to see that sort of parity brought about the series. Something's gone wrong here with John.
Yeah, John earlier on in practice was having issues with keeping intercooler pipes together, and I think it's popped out the silicon there again. He was on the power on the entry, but you can see where he would have got back on that power and given it maybe a bit of a clutch dump. The car's straightened up. He's hit the handbrake, got on the power again, straightened up, given a little bit of a flick, straightened up again. So John collecting a 0 there to balance out Finney O'Hare's 0 in the first run. Here we are seeing them run one more time with John out in the lead, but Finney right there with him. It's going to be critical that he stays there. Seems to have had a re-clutch, and just that little bit narrow has sent him off the outside of the track there. So already points deducted for Finney O'Hare as John Dreyer pulls away and across the finish line.
So there we have a slight advantage to John with the wheel drops from Finney. He's not doing well. Let's see how he goes now.
Finney seems to have found a bit more of that aggression, tipping it in against the wall, but John was right there with him with an early feint. As they come through the middle here, nice emulation from John again there in the chase. He's right with Finney. They both come out onto that back straight there. Finney trying the nice straighten up and an aggressive entry into the last corner there, but very difficult to shake that little dado, and I don't think it's going to be enough for Finney to overcome John Dreyer's advantage from that first run in our one more time.
Well, it wasn't quite as close as you think, Dave. If you watch as they go through here, you can see Finney gets right out to the edge, and John, just here, pops a wheel over the ripple, which was a deduction for him. He was really close to having 2 wheels off there. In the end, he gets the win.
That's why you're the judge and I'm just a humble commentator. Next battle to go, we have Aaron Jouar leading Mitch Sanders. Jouar has been crazy throughout practice. Boom. Big entry there, not quite as close to the wall as Mitch Sanders, but the speed was definitely up there. Sanders diving in a little bit, but then getting lost on his line in what is a very technical corner into Wakefield short track there. Jouar out in front, the cloud machine making smoke the whole way through the rest of the run, pumping some out the windows even, but then wheels off. Messy battle there, Dan.
Threw that away in the end and dropped 2 wheels right before the finish line, so it ends up being a 0-0 for that run. It all comes down to this one.
Jouar struggling a little bit with the slower entry speed of Mitch Sanders, but it seems he's been learning something from his mentors throughout the series, knowing that he needs to leave that gap. We all know that Aaron Jouar's car is very fast when he's on it. Looks like the plan was to reel in Mitch Sanders, but through the end of the battle, Mitch Sanders there keeping the speed up with Aaron Jouar bobbling away out the back there. I think the entire Jouar team are going to be on the edge of their seats waiting for the judge's call for this one.
Yeah, well, it's a real messy battle, this one too. So we've got a 0-0 up front. You see Mitch Sanders drops a wheel here, pushes out the other side, drops another wheel. That's 2-1 wheels, total of a points deduction. But Aaron Jouar was terrible as well, so nothing left to do but send it again, Dave.
Good to turn around. Hopefully both these drivers have their head in game mode, and it looks like Jouar is already big feint and chucked it against the wall. Superior speed here from that light Jouar Performance S14, while Mitch Sanders does a bit of a summon at dirt drop to dirt drop with a nut in the middle. I think this is going to be all Dabs' one here. Very, very fortunate that that first set of battles had so many errors.
Yeah, look, I think Dabs definitely got a lucky strike there. He was really messy in his chase. He'll have to tidy that up if he wants to try and make it to the podium today. Mitch Sanders not having the best run. You can see he's been out of the car most of the season. He and Amanda have got a brand new baby too, so that's been what's been keeping it up there. But unfortunately, Mitch doing some damage in that big nut there that he did before, and so he's out. It's going to be an Aaron Jouar win.
Very lucky progression there for Aaron Jouar, and you can see that he's decided to use this run to get as much practice as he can on Wakefield Park's technical short course that a lot of people don't give it credit for being as technical as it is. Not only is it a daunting entry up against that cement wall there, but that sweeper is a double if not a triple apex as you come in there from a very wide and open top of third, or even some guys in fourth gear sweeper, down to something that some cars will need to use second for. You can see here as Benny Meir comes in struggling a little bit with finding that line and holding up with Daniel Mesmer behind him, who's ended up throwing himself into a spin to avoid a collision.
Yeah, look, that one was all Benny Mears' fault. I don't know what he did wrong. He just looked like he didn't get him settled like he normally does. He normally pushes right out to that wall. And if you have a look in the replay, which I'm sure we'll see in a minute, he's a good half car length off there, which put his line wrong and he couldn't get it right. Unfortunately, stalling up, Daniel had nothing to do but to turn it around.
This is the point where short track is made. Every piece of your entry and line selection counts. Ben Meir again here, just struggling with that line, trying to chase Daniel Mesmer and ending up on the inside. But then Daniel Mesmer dropping a wheel on the outside, spinning here, all four off. I think we got another 0-0, Dan. This must be so frustrating to watch as a judge.
Oh, look, it is. You know, these things happen in the battles. When you get to the pressure of a battle, everyone knows what it's like. You know, it's all good to go out drifting with your mates and swinging around, but when you've got to hit clipping points and you've got another guy out there trying to do the same thing, the pressure builds, it gets to some guys. And look, this, you know, I mean, Daniel Mesmer stepping up into the pro to have a crack. See how he goes in his pro-am later on, but he's a chance of winning that, which means he'll progress through to pro next year.
We did see Daniel Mesmer make a name for himself back at round one here at Wakefield Park, coming down all the way from far north Queensland for his first drive of the track and slaying it.
Ben just getting that wrong again there. You can see just missing that wall, not quite getting there, and Daniel's forced to shallow to miss hitting him, which affects him.
Yeah, it's such a dance between two cars where both drivers need to get that line right for it to be a meaningful battle, where it is actually based on speed and angle and how they've chosen to style the car. If the lead car is offline, the chase car doesn't really have a choice other than to drive in a way they wouldn't normally or follow the mistakes of the lead car.
Yeah, you can see Daniel just stepping it right out to the wall there and making it a bit easier for Chase. Ben's made the same error as he did before in the first one. Oh, that was a big hit, and I wouldn't be surprised if he broke something in that. That was a massive hit as he came back on the track, and yeah, that car's not steering like it should be. Look, Ben Meir's been driving really well this weekend. He was hitting everything earlier on in the practice, so he's going to be disgusted with himself, and you can see that front wheel has definitely broken something there. So yeah, it's a shame for Ben, but
good angle here riding on board with Ben Meir, where you can see that Daniel Mesmer was kind of in the middle of the track there, so there's not a lot of track position for the chase car, but you need to find it. That is the battle of being a chase car. Yes, some of the drivers might go a little bit wider and fill that outside zone a bit more like the judges want to, which makes it easier for a chase driver, but battles aren't easy. We're all here to try and do exactly what the judges want while knocking out the competitor's car. One that we're going to see that will be a bit more textbook is Beau the Show Yates here leading Michael Bonney.
Yeah, there's plenty of horsepower out there on the pitch at the moment. I tell you what, Bonney with a big straight, and that's definitely going to be some deduction there.
That car just never seems to be quite the way that Bonney wants it in terms of alignment. You see it was right out there through the middle section, and then as he's backed it off, it snapped back around and straightened him up just so aggressively. I don't know if it's over-gripped in the rear or maybe he's just not comfortable with the car, but a bit of a wall rub there from Michael Bonney. Keen to show he does have the talent to be here in the pros, battling it out with the big dog Beau Yates.
Bonney really throwing down. He's got to as well if he's going to try and get back those mistakes and having a good run. I wonder if Bonney's turbo size is a little bit big. He has got NOS in that thing. It's got a world of power, but it just seems to come on a bit slow.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be suited to at least the type of driving he's trying to do, while Beau, cool, calm and comfortable sitting there in the office. Bit of a handbrake grab, smash it up into third and off you go. A car that is just so well put together. You can see how comfortable Beau is with that, driving any line he wants. Coming off the line now, we have Warwick Hill up against Isaac Gett, another one of our Pro-Am drivers who's stepped it up. Pretty familiar with battling with Warwick Hill when he was pulling that sneaky move, entering both Pro and Pro-Am to get as much seat time as he can. So Isaac will be no stranger to Warwick's car, but seems to have left behind a little bit there, both in terms of speed and grip, which could be to blame, being running on Pro-Am tyres versus the pros who are on a much more serious compound and pattern.
Absolutely. Warwick taking full advantage in it, and it really worked for him. He's a much better driver for it this year by doing both series, but certainly you can see the difference in tyre grip there, and Isaac just not able to keep up in the first one. That's an advantage to Warwick.
Warwick seems to be leaving a gap here, knowing that he does have a bit more speed over Isaac. Still nice emulation through the middle there, changing direction at the same time as Isaac. We'll see that again up onto the back straight here, and then as they both tip into that last corner, Warwick just reeling him in and reeling him in. I did see a puff of dirt there off the front wheel, so he has hopped that ripple strip and gone a little bit deep on the last clipping point, which will hurt him. But overall, Warwick seemed to be the stronger driver there.
Absolutely, you know, almost faultless lap from Isaac out in the front there, and he's been showing that in the Pro-Am Series, winning the one down in Winton. Warwick here, chasing hard, just getting a little bit wrong as he goes over that corner. That battle to Isaac, but overall to Warwick.
So we have our top 8 decided, where Anthony Billick will be facing off against Blake Patterson. John Dreyer and Michael Prosenik, the Victorians, do battle. Aaron Dewar up against Daniel Mesmer, and Beau the Show Yates battling Warwick Hill.
Here with Graham from Team Army. Graham, tell us why you're here this weekend.
Look, it's just a great opportunity for Team Army to be here with the Hi-Tec team. We saw them down at Winton and just see it as a great sporting activity for our young trainees to bring out our show cars. We've got a couple of high-performance street machines built to do this sort of stuff, and we can really get up close and personal with the Hi-Tec drift teams and see what they do, get in amongst the technicians in the pits. It's just great exposure for our young trainees undertaking their technical trade training.
So we've got the opportunity to come here as well as travel around to other events around the country following drift events, V8 supercars as part of Team Army. So we're trainee mechanics down at the Army School of Electrical and Mechanical Engineering, and this is basically an opportunity for us to widen our knowledge and skills by being able to work on something very different to your typical Army cars.
We've had the chance to go into the pits and talk to some of the drivers, and we did some hot laps yesterday, which was pretty cool. And yeah, the drivers were nice enough to talk through their cars and the setup and all of that, so it's been pretty good so far, and we're looking forward to watching the actual event.
Welcome back to Wakefield Park for round 5 of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars. This is the final, and it all comes down to this. We're going to dive into the top 8 of the Pro Series, where we have already seen some upsets and some very messy battles, to be honest. So moving towards the pointy end, it's going to be critical that our top drivers put the points on the board to get themselves onto the podium. Speaking about someone with points on the board, we are riding on board now with Anthony Billick, who I'm sure we're going to be hearing about for months in a row, was our top qualifier at Wakefield Park. He's facing up against Blake Patterson on the other side of the grid there. A fresh face to the Hi-Tec Series, but no stranger to drifting. A very good driver, and I can't wait to see what happens in this battle as Billick leads.
It's going to be an awesome chase. Blake known for the big, aggressive chase, I was going to say there, Dave. And wow, first assessment of that is, did Blake throw it too hard, or did Anthony do something different? Yeah, wow, that's going to take some replays to sort that one out, but a big hit. Let's hope there's not too much damage.
Definitely some aggression there, Dan, from both drivers as Billick feints in towards the wall and Blake tucks in right behind him, but seems to have just gone a bit too hard.
Look, it's a hard one to judge there. It is the responsibility of the chase driver to make sure that they allow space for the lead driver to run their line. Anthony may be a little bit longer on the handbrake than usual, but you know, not too much. And if you have a look from the front view, if we get to see it again, Blake was just a little bit forward. He was a little bit offline and diving at that A pillar. You're only allowed to come to the B pillar, so maybe a bit of an issue there.
That's definitely a bit of knuckle hanging off the end of a suspension arm. Let's hear from Blake to get his side of the story.
Blake, you both were going so well. What happened?
Oh, look, number 1 qualifier on radials, had to impress, went big. Billick's a good driver. He did slow down a bit there, a lot more aggressively than I expected. It looked like he was hanging off the handbrake, but there's potential that I probably hit him, and it's up to the judges which way they want to put that, because we were told not to handbrake, so he shouldn't have slowed down that much, I guess. But I mean, either way their decision is, I'm happy with it, and I'll just do whatever they tell me.
I can see it from Blake's perspective that he didn't expect Billick to slow down as much as he did, but at the same time, can that really excuse that as a chase driver you do need to replicate what the lead's doing?
Absolutely. It was Ant's time to lead and Blake just needed to chase. Let's go down and hear from Anthony.
You were doing really good out there. What happened?
Yeah, cheers, thanks. I was feeling confident. Car was on song all weekend. Everything was going well. We're going to battle Blake. What? In 15? Can we try it? Let's try it. Okay, yeah. Okay, we'll try it, and get out there. I'll be back.
That's the benefit of having a supportive team down there in the pits. As we're turning the battles around, the judges have made the decision to let Beau and Warwick go up in the next battle. Also Pros and Dre, you see back there. We're going to work our way through the battle tree, put the Blake and Billick battle at the very back and give Billick as much time as he can to fix this car. Now we're watching Beau lead Warwick Hill. Big smoke show here from Beau Yates, but Warwick matching that pace very, very nicely. And was that a wheel drop from Beau or just a very wide line?
Oh, it was a really, really wide line for that one. He was right on the very edge, and there's a lot of dirt being dragged on the track, so you would have seen a bit of dust, Dave, but it was just, you could see there was no roll in the car.
Yeah, cool. I wouldn't have expected that from Beau anyway. Nice wide line there, which is exactly what the judges asked for, but with a bit of a speed stall on the exit, he might have gone just that touch wider than he thought. But the superior speed of the Toyota Genuine Parts 86 becomes apparent right here as Beau rockets onto that middle straight section, leaving Warwick Hill behind in the smoke. Fantastic lead run there from Beau Yates. Now we get to see him chase.
Yeah, a couple of deductions there for both drivers. A little bit more for Warwick, getting mixed up and lost behind him. What a nice entry from him right up against the wall. He's thrown down. He wants to beat Beau. He's definitely keen for it, but Beau right there on his door.
The development we've seen from drivers like Warwick Hill going from strength to strength as they battle it out with the big dogs, it's just so impressive to see how far you can come throwing your hat into the ring for battles like this. Beau's chase technique and speed is hard to deny, but in both points of that battle, there was a point where Warwick did equal him.
Without a doubt, Warwick's improving, and round after round, he just keeps stepping it up. Had a great round last time down at Winton, unfortunately falling down and making that error. And with drifting, Dave, as you well know, one error can be the end of your day and you're back on the trailer.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. You can very easily just drop that wheel, go slightly off your line, and bang, there is your deduction. Speaking about bangs, looks like they're getting the grinder in there to clean up the rear knuckle on Anthony Billick's S13. Blaze that bit of knuckle back on that you can see in the background there. I don't know if it's the best fix I've ever seen, but I love a good dodgy mod, and hopefully that means we get to see Anthony Billick back out there to complete his battle with Blake Patterson.
The only thing that worried me about that, Dave, was you could see a slight bend in that arm. I hope that they're going to be able to get it back, because we really want to see Ant out and have a go at taking that top qualifier all the way through. But for now, we've got John Dreyer, driving killer out there, up against Michael Prosenik.
Pros is going to know that every single battle at the final is crucial for him. He needs to make it through not only to the top four, but onto the top step if he wants a chance of beating Beau in the championship. But John Dreyer isn't going to let it go that easy. The little Datsun that could, with a driver who's seen great success in the Vic Drift Series, throwing his hat into the ring, battling it out with the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars Pros, and man, do I love watching him drive.
John Dreyer doing a really, really good job there. He's actually almost, well, he is. He's pulling away from that big-powered Prosenik machine there. That's awesome to see. He's driving so well.
I'm starting it here. New nickname, John Dreyer the Slayer. Here we go.
See what he can do. See if he can get up there and slay some door now, Dave. He's right in there, pushing hard and up. Prosenik's driving a really good lap. This is a great chase. It's been a good lap from both of them, and this is going to be really tricky to split. We're looking for small deductions, and there's a wheel. Is that going to be enough?
Besides that jump over the middle, I'm happy to call this his best battle we've seen so far. Both cars equally matched in speed. Dreyer throwing down the earliest entry I think I've seen this whole event so far. Eager to chase down Pros and put points on the board, but I think that wheel hopping over the middle there will give him a bit of a deduction, but the judges agree with me. They want to see it go one more time, and I'm stoked with that.
Well, in the end, David, ended up being a wheel drop from Pros in the chase, a wheel drop from Joe in the chase. It's an equal number of deductions. We can't split them. Send them again.
That's it. Keen to see it. And Dreyer there. Big faint entry, but Pros isn't messing around now. He knows he's got to be on that door. Both cars to the track edge there, using every bit of Wakefield Park short track circuit as they switch back around here. Both drivers killing it on that clip there into the outside zone. Pros bettering Dreyer's line slightly across the back straight there and not giving up an inch. Man, how do you call that, man?
Well, if you look at the good ride replay here, you can see Pros just aggressive from the get-go. He's up on that door. He knows that this could be him going home championship over, and he's not going to let that happen early. If you watch here, coming in this next corner, John goes a little bit wide. We've missed it there on the replay, but again, Pros staying right on his door and millimetre perfect behind Dreyer. It's close, but just a small advantage to the Pros.
He really does have that experience under his belt, winning trophies on practical practically every continent on the planet. Global drifter down at Wakefield Park up against John Dray, the underdog. Looks like John's washed that a little bit wide there. Will he be able to recover that speed gap? He's tucking in, he's trying, but Pros is out there. Big angle, big speed, and hoofing smoke out the back. That V8 S13 pulling away on the back straight there, and I think we saw Dray drop a wheel as well.
Yeah, I saw it happen as it happened, and it was a big wheel. Unfortunately, that's going to be the mistake, the bit that cost him. You saw Pros coming really close to dropping a wheel, but no, just there in the background, the dirt turbo from John Dreyer is going to be the one that sends Prosy through as he gets away from up the hill.
It's a big hole there. I've hit that a few times and it doesn't feel very pleasant. Glad at least to see John Dreyer's car going on the trailer with not too much damage, and I'm sure we're going to see him next year along with this legend. Aaron Duar out in the lead with Daniel Mesmer coming in hot.
What an aggressive entry from Daniel Mesmer. He knows he's got to get on his door, and he's absolutely giving it to him. He's not going to be able to keep up that big power smoke machine. He's going to disappear, but Daniel Mesmer knew from the get-go he had to be on his door, and he did it.
That technical first corner into short track, it's so easy to fall into the trap of entering as hard as you can, but if you have that speed there, you struggle a lot to then bring that line back into the infield, pick up and go, and you can see Duar was able to get on the power earlier, put that power down, and off he went, which could have a lot to do with that car being quite light and naturally aspirated as well, but the speed was hard to deny, Dan.
Absolutely. Aaron, since he's picked up the new sponsor of Valino Tyres, has really been going for it and been so much quicker. You can see here, giving it straight back to Daniel Mesmer, diving up on his door, and he's going to show that he can chase as well.
Very shallow there early on, but as he comes around, you can see Duar's been working on this chase technique. Oh, spin from Mesmer. Slightest of contacts there, but I don't think it's done any damage, at least to Duar's car. Giving it the big old wooders, straight up over $7,000 and cooking towards the end of the track. Don't know how Daniel Mesmer's going back there, because he does also have some Pro-Am battles in front of him. It's the switchback here. We've just gone that little bit too hard. I think maybe dabbed some handbrake when he should have been on the power and looped that car back around.
They might have almost missed there, but anyway, we're very close, and you can see Daniel Mesmer just getting out on those marbles. There is zero grip out there, and believe it or not, when we set a drift car up, we do set it up for a grippy setup to try and drive them through the corner. Not enough grip there on those marbles, and unfortunately that's going to be the end of Dan.
Bit of an upset in the pits. It looks like Anthony Billick is on the trailer after qualifying in the top position. Can you tell us a bit more about that, Dan?
Yeah, unfortunately for Anthony Billick, after he got hit in that first battle, it became a 10-0 his way. He couldn't get his car repaired. 0-10 back to the other way to Blake. OMT, got to send it again. Billick wasn't ready, so he's out. It's a technicality with the rules. We've got to follow him this year, but next year it won't be there.
Simon, Kitten's been involved with Hi-Tec Drift Series throughout the year. Tell us about your thoughts about the championship.
Look, this year's been a big year for both Hi-Tec and for Kitten. We've been up and down the coast, meeting people, showing people our product, supporting the industry. Kitten's been in racing, cars, auto for its life, so we've been able to show and release new product to new people. Well, 2018's gone so well for Kitten Ultra. Next year, 2019, Kitten Ultra will be back with Hi-Tec supporting the rounds, so we look forward to that.
We're back for the pointy end of round 5 of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars. This is the final down at Wakefield Park Raceway. It's all on the line for the pros, and a bit of controversy going into the top 4. But before we see that, we're going to quickly run through the top 4 of the Famous Insurance Pro-Am Series. We have seen a few of these drivers mixing it up with the pros. Unfortunately, Daniel Mesmer's car giving up the ghost after seeing a few too many battles. Unfortunate for him, as he is chasing the championship, but depending on the way that this Pro-Am top 4 shapes up, Isaac Gett may or may not steal that championship lead off him. Dan, we've seen some great driving from the Pro-Ams the entire way through the series. What's the vibe going on there? How are the judges liking the way these drivers are coming along?
They just keep getting better and better. The Pro-Am drivers are stepping up every single round, and you see so many of these guys, you know, we said at the sort of midway point when we had a chat, they're not quite ready to go, they're not quite ready to get into pro, but now I take that statement back. These guys really stepping it up. There's probably the top 4 or 5 of them ready to kick it off in the top league.
I've heard behind the scenes we will see some more Pro-Am drivers mixing it up with the pros next year. I like the format we've introduced this round. Before we talk any more about that though, here is our first battle. We have John Overdouris leading Steve Cerrone, who's had a bit of bad luck in that 180SX back there, going through a few motors, pumping a hell of a lot of oil out of it up at Queensland Raceway, but he's back and keen to battle. But John Overdouris there seeming to just have exceptional speed in the lead. Let's see how those cars are separated as they switch around and Steve Cerrone chases.
Well, John Overdouris actually pretty new to the Pro-Am. You know, he bought this car midway through the season, hadn't done a lot of competition, stepped into it, managed to snag a number 1 qualifying position here, and you can see why, laying down a pretty good lead run. Steve Cerrone having a few issues in the back there. Jono pretty good behind him, following him through there, maybe a little wheel drop there, I'm pretty sure I saw one, as they flick it back through there, up to the top, across the line they go.
John Overdouris driving the wheels off that car. We do know it's a podium getting car. I swear this is the last time I'll mention it, but the ex-car of Gavin Edwards, I think by 2019 this is well and truly John Overdouris' car. He's done such a good drive of it this season. We can't wait to see him back next year. I'm sure another driver we'll see back next year is Isaac Gett, who's up on top of that championship standing just behind Daniel Mesmer. You can see how committed he is here, chasing down Philip Silk, who's made it all the way down from Queensland, down to Goulburn here for Wakefield Park. Isaac seems to be struggling a little bit, trying to drop the speed back behind Silky there, but the positions will switch and it'll now be Isaac's turn to run out in front.
Yeah, Philip Silk, his first time down in Wakefield, and he's really adapted very quickly. Works in with the Hog's Breath team with one of our judges that sits beside me here, Dan Keneally and his team. So he gets a lot of experience with one of the judges out on the track, and you can see that really starting to pay off with him here. Starting to pick it up. Isaac Gett pulling away there. He should get a win there. And he's just dropped the wheel, and that's going to put a deduction back the other way. There's only one way to call this now. Even with that gap, that wheel drop's going to override that, and it's got to go again.
It's not a bad problem to have, getting to see these guys run again. Although Isaac is going to be on the edge of his little bucket seat there. He knows that he's got to get through these top 4 battles and secure himself some points if he's got any hope of overtaking Daniel Mesmer. But with a strong drive from Philip Silk there, beautiful entry, nice wide line, hitting the inside clips here, but a big dirt drop again. That infield bit is just so difficult for so many of our drivers, Dan.
Yeah, look, it's a really, really technical section, that. And we even have weighted this 60 towards the first half, which is basically just as they transition back, and 40% towards the back half, just because it's such a technical little section down the front there. Unfortunately for Silky, giving away that advantage of having the lead first by dropping a wheel, opening the door for Isaac. And look, referring back to the points, I haven't done the tally yet. I don't know if Isaac can win, but I know he's going to give it everything and try and win this round just to make sure that it makes us crunch the numbers.
Either way, I know Isaac's going to be wanting to go home with the big trophy, and he is now one step closer to it, knocking out Philip Silk, who put in a serious drive. So we will see the battle for third between Steve Cerrone and Philip Silk, while John Overdouris and Isaac Gett battle it out for the top step. Before we see that, though, we got a bit of news to announce. The Hi-Tec Oils 350Z is one of the highest powered and most exciting cars in the series. A twin turbocharged LS, big turbos hanging out the bonnet. We see this thing throwing down round after round. It has been a bit of a musical chair. We've seen a few different drivers getting behind the wheel, with Rob Arbolino having the latest campaign. He's not going to be joining us in 2019, but we will have my co-commentator and one of the series veterans, Scott Shembry, driving this 350Z. Are you excited, mate?
Oh, mate, I'm pumped. I'm amped. Obviously, with Rob stepping away, George and I are in talks and step away from commentating. Obviously, I've had fun with you, biting my ear off for the last couple of years, but I've always been a better driver than I was a commentator. So I can't wait to get behind the wheel. I thank George and Hi-Tec for the opportunity, and we're just coming back to do a few changes to the car. Obviously, it's been progressing over the years. Rob and the boys have done a really good job getting to where it is. In the off-season, we'll make a few more changes, try to get it up to that pinnacle and just be a bit more reliable, and we'll just come back to go for the championship. We want this car to be in number 1 spot next year, and that's all I'll come back for.
How are you feeling about handing the keys over, George?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, mate. It's pretty good. I've been doing this for a few years, and I've watched Scott over the years drive cars, and that he's pretty good at what he does. He's a perfectionist at that. So we just want to hand it over to somebody with Rob and Shembry being mates, and they all get on really well. So the best person to give it to was basically Scott,
Good to see the keys of that Hi-Tec 350Z get thrown around once more, and I can't wait to see all the wooders and froths and limbs and whatever else Shembry wants to throw at it next season. So I find I'm excited to see that car get the wheels driven off it. Sorry, George.
It's going to be really interesting to see. I mean, basically, Shembry's getting in a car that's probably twice as heavy as his SR. It's got twice the number of cylinders and twice the number of turbos. Does that mean it's going to be twice the number of Wados?
Oh, I hope so. But before we get to see that, we do have some of our top 4 battles now with Michael Prosenik trying to get all of the points on the board as he chases down Beau in the championship standings. But Blake Patterson behind him, who up until that point, I was going to say, was putting together a very tidy chase run. Again, that last section of the infield track tripping up drivers. Looks like he got a little bit lost in the smoke here behind Pros. Headed wide over the dirt there, and then that big jump up onto the main track there, ripping that poor little front bar to bits.
Absolutely, it was just that transition. Blake got lost in it, and from there it just became a mess. Hard to catch it too with those less grippy tyres that he's running. He just doesn't have the grip to come back. They're not as forgiving when you do make a mistake. Let's see how he goes out in the lead with Michael Prosenik chasing his door.
I love how soft Blake Patterson's car is, nearly lifting the inside trailing wheel there as he got back on the power. Seems to work very well for him, but there's no way you're going to pull away from the man, Michael Prosenik. Super duper lightweight NA V8 S13. That thing's got plenty of speed when he wants it, and it looks like Blake just getting that little bit intimidated, dropping a wheel across the line there, and also a touch messy coming onto the middle straight.
Yeah, look, it's got to be said that Blake's driven really, really well. I mean, he always does. He's a great driver, and hopefully he can find a budget, make the season next year, because it'd be awesome to have him in there. A couple of wheel drops and a few mistakes this time is going to put Pros through.
On the other side of the tree, we see Aaron Drouard leading Beau Yates, and Dabs has been foaming for this all season. He's been so eager to get himself up there on the podium. Last year in the final round, he did get his first ever podium with a 3rd place finish, and he's been so close the whole way through 2018. Will the finals luck return for him? And it looks like a bit of a mistake there from Beau Yates out behind as let Drouard open up an early lead. That's a big upset, Dan.
Yeah, it certainly is. If you see just there was a little shuffle from Dabs, which we asked him not to do, so the deduction went in Beau's favour. He's managed to gather himself back up by this stage in true Beau style, gets right up behind Aaron, gets a little bit lost in the smoke, he catches up to Aaron just a bit quicker than he was expecting, has to flare the car to get it sideways and save the drift. Unfortunately that's going to be an advantage for Beau, at least it's going to be an advantage to Dabs, but this is exciting now. If you have a think about it too, if Aaron wins this, knocks Beau out, Beau finishes 4th, his teammate Prosenik, who's gone through the final, can potentially snatch the championship.
It's an outside chance. We've seen stranger things happen in drifting. Beau out in front now, laying down what looks like a killer lead run, but up until that final point, unable to pull away from the speed of Aaron Drouard. It's going to be a really hard one to call, Dan.
Well, again, if we watch the Good Ride replay here, you can see in this technical section, which gets them more weighting, Aaron Drouard all over the back of Beau as they come around and switch it up here. And Beau was very vocal about that we need to make sure this is the place that we don't reward too many guys getting away, which is kind of weird because he's always good at it. As they get through there, it's going to be Dabs.
Hugs in the pits there between Aaron Drouard and Beau. Such friendly competition between these two, and like you said, Beau has almost handicapped himself there by pointing out to the judges that higher-powered cars like his can pull away very easily in that midsection of the straight. So we will see Beau now battling it out for 3rd, and as you said, Dan, if Beau does end up in 4th position and Michael Prosenik ends up in 1st, there will be an ever so slight overtake for Pros to take the series.
Well, it's an uphill battle for Blake Patterson to ruin the day for Beau Yates, but he chases hard. He's the one who can do it.
I bet Pros is just waiting there, biting his nails, wanting to see that. But before we get to the final of the Pro Series, we will see the finals of Pro-Am with Philip Silk and Steve Cerrone now battling it out for 3rd. Silky tipping it in hard there, big angle. Will he end up wide here? Oh, just dropping a wheel there, but otherwise an aggressive line across the outside of Wakefield's short track section. Steve Cerrone with him, not quite as aggressive, but Silky out in front. Not so smooth, dropping first one wheel, then another wheel throughout the section there. That's a really hard disadvantage to overcome, Dan.
Yeah, look, he's going to definitely get a 6-4 advantage against him here. That means it's quite an advantage that he's got to make up. The 2-1 wheels, unfortunately, really making it hard for Silky. But, look, he's driving really well this weekend. Steve Cerrone too, good to see him having a car running all the way to the end.
Yeah, Here it comes now as the positions are switched. You can see Silky almost drag racing there, not wanting to give up an inch as Steve Cerrone gets his lead run, tipping it in hard there. Just that little bit too hard, ending up backwards in the WRX-fronted S14, affectionately known as Smoothie, that has ended up backwards, unfortunately, as Steve Cerrone flies his way through the end of the run there. So it shows how being smooth and calm and calculated in drifting can pay off, because Steve Cerrone, not making any mistakes, has gotten himself potentially third place.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, as we watch the famous insurance replay. And I tell you what, James Martle and Dan Canilli, my fellow judges, of course, Dan works with Silky, very excited to see that backy there.
Yeah, they do love a big angle entry, but not quite the style we'd like, as you are meant to maintain the drift and keep going. But it is what it is, and we are now going to see the battle for first place. Jono Voudouris rocketing away, but Isaac Gett right there with him in that DBS tuning R33 Skyline.
Cracking battle from these guys, both been driving well. Jono taking the top spot in qualifying, and Isaac Gett absolutely slaying it out there all afternoon. So it's going to be a great battle, Dave, watching them come back through here. Both are pretty close, pretty perfect. Reasonable chase from Isaac. Jono just getting away a little bit in the top section. Lovely tip into the top there.
I don't know if it was intentional as Jono came across that skip up onto the main track, but I love the excitement as it stepped out there and he managed to hold on to it. Also very nicely done on that outside track edge there. Possibly just heading that little bit into the middle of the track there. Jono in the lead run and Isaac forced to follow it, but otherwise a smooth and fast lead run from Jono Voudouris.
Yeah, a slight advantage there to Isaac, just a very, very slight one. Easy to overcome though from Jono if he gets a good chase run here. He's taken off in the distance trying to make sure he's got an advantage on Isaac, and I'm sure he's going to have upsetted himself there.
Isaac seemed to be hazing the rears off the line, potentially running out of tyres or at least traction in that big power R33. Jono, having to pull back a little bit to then let Isaac pull away, and it looks like it's just upset his pace throughout that run. He did manage to hold it together in the early part of short track, but then on the exit, playing catch up, maybe losing his line and timing a little bit, and he's ended up dropping wheels on both sides of the track. Big disadvantage and not what you want to see in the final.
Yeah, you can see really clearly in the famous insurance replay there, Dave, that Isaac Gett just doing the right thing. Jono Voudouris overshooting that chicane at the start. It's messed him up. He hasn't quite got it right, and maybe that's just a little bit of a new situation to him that he hasn't kind of worked out.
Isaac Gett taking out the top spot of the round, but so close to that championship win as well. Only the slightest of margins behind Daniel Mesmer, while Ross Quigley quite a considerable distance behind there, still getting himself a third place championship trophy. We'll see those presented at the end, but first it's our battle for third, and again a critical battle for Beau Yates, because if he does finish in fourth and Michael Prosenik gets first, we'll see the orders switched and Beau Yates might lose his championship lead that he's been working so hard for years now.
Yeah, it's definitely not set and forget yet. Beau Yates knows he needs to win this. He knows Blake's slightly disadvantaged on that tyre, but that doesn't stop Beau. He's going for it. And Blake Patterson, to his credit, is doing really well to stick with that much faster Toyota Genuine Parts 86.
It's just amazing how nicely developed the suspension is in that 86. You saw it soak up that bump back onto the main circuit like it was nothing through this middle section here. Watch as Beau switches back. That is a much bigger dip than it looks like. Both of these cars here set up quite soft and supple. I think it would have been a better contrast if it wasn't Blake chasing him, who did a fantastic job for the whole way through that infield section, but just struggling to match the pace of that Toyota Genuine Parts 86 up the back.
Yeah, great job from Blake, but it's definitely an advantage to Beau, and he knows that now. But in true Beau form, he's not going to give up. He's going to get up on Blake's door and show him why he is such a great champion, and he's pushing for another one. If he can get this third place here, he's going to seal the deal, I'm fairly sure. I've still got to do the calculations in a minute, but he's really chasing hard, Dave. He's pushing. He wants this.
It's so impressive to see little nuanced bits as well, like where Blake goes right out against the wall there. Beau is with him, but not tight enough to then be risking damage to the car. On the switchback here again, Beau emulates perfectly for Blake, but doesn't follow him to that outside line for the dirt drop. He's just wound it back a little bit, and it's there that the experience of a seasoned veteran shines through, and Beau definitely deserving that third place trophy there. I'm sure hunting for a first, but he'll be happy to nab those points. Now he'll be watching this battle closely because it's Aaron Jouard searching for his very first round win of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars, and Michael Prosenik looking to get every point that he can on the board to maybe knock out Beau for a championship win. It's all on the line for both of these drivers.
And their teammates to boot, so you know what can you do? You could throw team orders in here to make sure you get the championship, but Dabs, you know, he's finished on the podium before but never grabbed the top spot. He's definitely getting a first or second trophy here, we know that, and that's a killer lead from him. He's hit all the clips there, possibly his best lead of the day.
I don't think we'd see either of these teammates give up a position to the other. They come here purely because they love the tight battles and challenging conditions that the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars gives them. Aaron Jouar building both motors in these two cars. You can see the friendly rivalry between these two. They're so comfortable driving together, matching pace, matching line. Even their entry style is so similar. That's why I love seeing them doing battle. And now with Pros out in front, Dabs is going to be sticking it to him as hard as he can. Here we go.
Wow, what a throw in there from Dabs. He's gone way wide. He's off. He's gone. Dabs has thrown it away. Pros is off.
Oh, that's a big mistake there from Pros.
That's two wheels and two wheels, so that's going to make this battle basically null and void. So it's going to go back to the way we scored it in the first battle.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Well, there you go.
I'm trying to throw myself back into that earlier battle. We'll watch this mistake here now on the replay. Jouar off wide trying to match the speed of Michael Prosenik. But as Pros comes through that infield section, it may be looking back at what's happened to Jouar. He's dipped wheels off on the outside as well. We may see it from here. Either way, that first battle with Aaron Jouar pulling away and opening a gap on Pros, he did get the advantage, and now his first round win.
An absolutely killer result there for Dabs. Awesome to see him on the top spot. But as far as the championship goes, Beau Yates did enough. He got himself into third place. He takes out the championship ahead of Michael Prosenik, and Dabs getting himself up ahead of Brad Toohey with that win there to take out third place in the championship.
Beau Yates has been like a mathematician in the pits all year, crunching the numbers, trying to see where he is in the championship, but it's confirmed now, his second Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars Championship win.
It would have been great to, make it a bit farther in top 8, but, I killed the car running with the big boys. She's dead. She's toast, mate. She's done. But other than that, happy for the championship. It's great, isn't it?
The Toyota Genuine Parts GT86, the boys at Hypertune, we all know how it's a fantastic little car. The Achilles radial, it's always on song, and my pit crew, it was only really me and Freddie this year. I've been doing this 16 years, so to get back up on the top step again after 16 years, and really it was just Freddie and I, and obviously now with a young family, Becca Miller unfortunately can't make it to the track all the time, but really, really happy for the team.
What a 2018 it's been, and 2019 is shaping up to be bigger and better as we go up and down the East Coast. Calder Park is round 1 on the 8th and 9th of March, then back to Wakefield for round 2 on the 10th and 11th of May. Round 3 at Queensland Raceway on the 16th and 17th of August. Round 4 at Calder Park in Victoria on the 25th and 26th of October. And of course, round 5, the final, Queensland Raceway, 29th and 30th of November.
It's been an unreal season so far, Dave. We're really looking forward to it. And we've already had plenty of interest come in from even as far away as Western Australia. A few of the boys looking to put a truck together, send it over here for the whole season. Heaps of interest out of Tasmania as well. Queensland, obviously, with 2 rounds, it's really building up there, and some of the big names looking to come back, get into the series. So 2019 looking to be massive.
The Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars is establishing itself as the national series, so if you've got a drift car sitting in the shed, no matter where you are, get to a round, battle it out with the best, and put your name on the board.